So in this meditation, let's work a bit with the difficult person in your life. And just trying which of the different methods of reframing, or Lojong, is meaningful for you. So let's slide again into present moment awareness, dropping into the body, softening the belly and the shoulders. Shifting from the head into the body, unhooking from thoughts. Noticing the liveliness of the breath. And then connect with a difficult person in your life. Within the space of your awareness. This person appears in front of you. You say quietly, silently, his or her name. And recalling a situation or situations where the hurt or the reactivity was particularly strong. And noticing it into your body, in your body. How does it feel? You hear the voice of the person. Play some of the stories you have around that person. And while you do that, you also notice that this is something arising within awareness. It's something you do. It's something you create through memories. And just notice that you have the capacity to make yourself miserable. With something which is not here. And then we gently try to do some reframing. And the first one is, this is a human being with feelings, just like me. A person with Buddha nature. And this person wants to be happy and avoids to suffer, just like me. This is a person with feeling, a human being with feelings, just like me. And all this person does is to try to be happy. rest with that person. Second point, this person was a baby, just like me, with the potential to give love and receive love, just like me. So see if you can see the face of the baby, the face of the child in that person. And just notice what happens in your body. The third point is, this person is wounded, hurt, just like me. And his or her violence, her inappropriate behavior comes from the hurt parts of that person, comes from the traumatized child in that person, just like in me. Just like in me, the behavior of that person is influenced by his or her psychological history. And it makes this person suffer. Just like you suffer, just like I suffer from the hurt aspects of myself. So you connect with the breath and with the body. And just notice if some of this reflection have the potential for some change within. Maybe you can find your own words and reasonings. Another point is that this person is a precious treasure because it gives me the opportunity to grow, to learn, to find genuine compassion with myself and that other person, with a situation. Another point is this person is longing for love, just like me. This person longs for understanding, connection. Just like me. Another point is, just like me, this person will die and struggles, just like me. Forgiving that person is a gift to myself. Another point is, this person has been my mother, my father, my friend, my lover, my child, countless times. What I see right now is just a short part of our journey together. And what I see in that person is a reflection of my own inner life. And then based on these reflections, on this reframing, we shift into a loving kindness meditation. May you be happy. May you feel loved. May you find peace. May you accept yourself as you are. May you be healed. you forgive yourself. May you come home. May you feel safe. And you stay connected in the felt sense of your body and the aliveness of your body. Knowing that opening your heart to that person does not mean that you spend time with that person. May you be happy. And feel how this person accepts your gift. Feel how it feels to invite this person back into your heart. While you maintain an awareness that all of this is happening within consciousness, within awareness. It's all happening within you. You're working with yourself. And then we let go of that person, and this person leaves blessed and gifted, uplifted. And you just rest in what is for you. So there's other possibilities. So it's good to be creative there. And then this text is one of the texts some people read on a daily basis as a kind of reminder, so that you're reminded of this kind of practice. And if another difficult person comes into your life, you recognize that, and the text reminds you, how can I relate to this situation in a different way? How can I reframe this situation? And then you will become more skillful, and disregard the parts which, or the reflections which are not helpful for you right now. And then from a different perspective, there might be also a different way to relate or to talk or to interact with that person, just by a change inside. And maybe the conclusion is I keep a respectful, loving distance. So there's nothing wrong with that. But inside you don't have that pain. So initially you don't do that for the other person. The other person never needs to know that you love him or her. But if you have to interact with that person, and you have to try it out, so this is not something you just take for granted, so you have to try it out. So if you are kind of stuck with that person because this person is just the one who sits close to you in the office, then you just notice, and it could last. It could take some years. Oh, that's the beauty in a community, like in the monks' community. You're stuck with these assholes. Every morning you're sitting there, may all beings be happy, singing together in Tibetan. And probably the one you dislike the most is just close to you. You can smell him. And then you can check yourself. Are you serious about being a practitioner? So the contemplative traditions, the monastic traditions in Christianity and Buddhism, they are very aware of this. That is the purpose of living in a community like that. It's hard. It's really hard. Now, usually we can kind of pick out the people we want to spend time with. But in a community like this, where you're committed to stay seated, it's really difficult. I guess we all have had this experience that to a shift inside, something happens also on the outside. It's kind of magic. Yeah, imagine you are in a conflict with your partner and you're on the way home from work and it starts running, the story of the narrative self. Oh, he said this and I said this and I'm right, why doesn't he understand me? Or she, blah, blah, blah. And then you come into the flat and there's the conflict. And the first word being said, the greeting is already wrong. Whereas if you do that kind of work on the way home, reframing, reflecting, doing that which works for you, and you step into the flat, wow, where's the conflict? How did that happen? That your partner got that you did some inner work? How did she know? So these little experiences, they show that really the outside world is a reflection of our inner world. It's not a magic pill and doesn't work any time, but it's worth to try. But there is also the narrative self, which is very strong, which wants to insist that I am right and the other person has to change. The other person has to understand me. The other person is the cause for the conflict. That's what the narrative self tells. So the narrative self again and again will say, stupid, I'm not going to do this. I don't want this. I don't want to have the openness inside of my heart. I want to be right. I don't want to offer the victory to her. I want to be the victor. I want to be right. Because my perspective on the situation is the right perspective. This is how it is. So that is not offering the victory to others. Maybe with the next verse, offering the victory to others, a good way to start is to recognize the many moments in our life when we don't offer the victory to others. When we want to be right, when we want to convince people, when we want to have the last word, when we want the other person to say a particular thing, to apologize, to see how wrong he was, she was, how unjust she was. Yeah, so that's not offering the victory to other people. So, what are other situations where we don't offer the victory to other people? You know, it's this insisting, wanting to be right, being self-righteous, wanting to have the success for ourselves, wanting to be acknowledged for what we did. And then if another person claims the success in a team or whatever, then that's horrible for the narrative self. One example is that was many years ago when I attended the first long retreat with Lama Zopa. That was a 3 months Vajrasattva retreat in California. And I was the director or the manager of Nalanda Monastery then. And one of the reasons I went to that retreat was, wow, 3 months with Lama Zopa, for sure I will have the opportunity to talk with them because I'm such an important person. So, right in the beginning, I gave the secretary of Lama Zopa my request for an interview. And then days went by and weeks went by, and you could always see who had interviews with Lama Zopa because they were not there in the session when he was not present, when he had interviews with people. So you could see, wow, again, 2 people are missing. They have an interview with Lama Zopa. And they were just unimportant people. Just people, some of them first time doing retreat. So that was the inability to offer the victory to others. You know, the inability to offer awakening and enlightenment to others. Focusing on my path, on my role. And it was tough. It's really tough. You know, bullying for the attention and for me, wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard, wanting to be known. You know, my narrative self wanted to be known. And then about 2.5 months in that process, I suddenly realized what was happening. As if it doesn't matter who awakens first. It doesn't matter. If someone awakens, that's me awakening. So I relaxed a bit. And then I tried the practice of rejoicing. And of course, part of that is connected with the psychological history of wanting the attention of Father. Wanting to be seen by Father. That's a bad idea to bring that into the relationship to a guru. But it's what is happening. And a qualified guru will always disappoint that part. It's not the job of the guru to refather yourself. That's something you need to do yourself. And then suddenly, at one point, I completely relaxed around that, and it was so wonderful. It was like, that kind of tension one has in the presence of someone you want to have your attention. It completely fell away, and I could observe, kind of with humor, I could observe that in others. Doing the same. And from that point on, I didn't need any personal attention anymore from him. I got it Yeah, but there was no like that kind of desperation. And then on the last day, and I was leaving to the airport in the evening, at the end of the retreat, the secretary gave me a postcard with Lama Sopa. He had written some answers to my question, which basically said, "Oh, sorry, this you need to figure out yourself." Which is the best answer from a qualified master. Yeah. Not to make the decisions for you, but to trust your innate wisdom. So that was a long time of not offering the victory to others. Yeah? And then the liberation of letting that go, letting go the agenda of the narrative self. Another topic I have been struggling with around this is the narrative self has this tendency to claim insights and spiritual experiences and knowledge. So what happens, and what happened often, was that people took my experience, or that what I teach, or that what I guide, and claim that as theirs, and make much more money with it than me. Writing books and developing programs, and I know they have been coming to my teachings and to my guided meditations, and because I don't have a big name, they like to mention His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Alan Wallace in their book, and I'm missing. So that's another place of offering victory to others. In a smaller scale, it's like you're helping another person, but wanting to be acknowledged for that. Yeah? So if you work with a person, and this person develops in a good way, then wanting to put that onto the ornaments of the narrative self, to shine with how helpful I am, how wise I am. So I don't offer the victory to the other person, such a relief if one can let go of that, of practicing selfless generosity without needing to be acknowledged for it, without needing to claim it as part of your spiritual CV. So for me, this verse is about that kind of situations. So, and again, as with the seeing yourself as the lowest of all, so these teachings, they come from a culture where people don't have this problem of the sense of unworthiness. When they would read the lowest of all, it's just not in their heart to think of them less than potential Buddhas. So they respond to this. They don't need to have that kind of correction, which I which we need to make. Yeah? And this is not about being a doormat, or this is not about seeing yourself as worthless. Yeah? So that's a Western mental sickness, that we can read these verses like that. And so we always need to have in mind the culture and the way, and from which kind of worldview these teachings come, into a different kind of worldview, in a different kind of psychological makeup. So this is very important. From our point of view, this teaching of being the lowest of all and offering the victory of others could even be that that we avoid a necessary step of learning to say no and putting boundaries, because we are afraid of doing it. So let's imagine someone who in her life, she was not supported in the development of putting boundaries and being loyal to her needs and expressing them. Probably we can all recognize that a little bit in us. And then we get these teachings. And then something in us says, oh, that's wonderful, I'm good at that. I'm good at that, at being the lowest at all and offering the victory to others. And I'm shit scared to say no and put boundaries. But fortunately, I don't need to do that. That's called spiritual bypassing. So it's bypassing a healthy psychological development, which would be being able to be loyal to your limits and to your needs and to your boundaries, and kind of jumping over it into an unhealthy offering the victory to others and being the lowest of all. And feeling, wow, that's wonderful. And even maybe be seen by others, oh, she is so boundaryless. She is so kind. She always thinks about others, but it is a call for help. It's an expression of desperation. So many of us are actually in a place where that capacity of saying no and putting boundaries is more important than being nice. Okay. So using these verses as reminders, inviting you to check up. Where in my life can I find more space and more inner peace by offering the victory to others? Okay, thank you very much for your attention. And yeah, we continue tomorrow with the last two verses, and then if there's time we go into the 8th chapter of the book, the stages, progressive path. See you tomorrow. Bye, guys.